Hello and welcome. Today we'll be going through the next poem in my book, Maybe Someday, which is a collection of poetry that I wrote when I was 17 and 18 years old. We've been going through every single poem one by one throughout here on my channel, and today's poem now is called 8. And it's one that I wrote about the hard truth about growing up that I was really going through at the time and my struggles with kind of coming out of childhood and into adulthood and everything. But as usual, we'll get into a bit more of that story and meaning to me behind this poem here in a little bit. But first, I'll start by just sharing this poem with you, reading it out, so then you can hear the whole thing and kind of get your impressions on it and start to get your own ideas and thoughts and connections and everything about it. That, of course, as always, I would love if you would share any of your personal opinions or thoughts or connections or stories or anything like that that you get out of hearing this poem down in the comments. But yeah, here we go. We'll get right into 8. A pure and hopeful soul, tainted by the truth, won't take in a word you're told, don't believe their lies. They chip away at my fragile mold, punctured by their words. Latch on tightly to the life I hold, don't let in the curse. And the world lost a little more light that night, and the world gained a little more pain that day. In my mind starts a brittle new fight that night, and my heart gained a little more weight that day. You were 8, and I was 14, but I'm still 8, while you keep growing. So why is it that you can be so fine when you had it so much worse than me, while I'm still stuck here in my mind, holding on to things I can't unsee? And my soul reaped the fruits of my mind, it's not right, and I won't let it hurt is what I say, though it may. And it's blocking out all my sight, I can't fight. Will I live to see another day? I can't say. All my hate, and it's still growing. All this hate I gained from knowing. I tried great, but it keeps showing. All this hate, I hate my knowing. How can I live with all this truth in my life? How can I live with all the truth in their lies? How do you live with all that truth in your life? How can I keep going? And how can I thrive? Then the world will gain a little more light sometime. Then the world will lose a little more pain someday. In my mind will end a war with the truce I write stops the fight. And my heart will let down a little more weight. It would be great. But for now, I hold on to these feelings and all the parts of me that they're stealing. But for now, I'll try to keep listening to all the advice that you're bringing. And maybe someday, I can start compromising. There's no way to change their minds, I'm now realizing. It's not easy, but please just know that I'm trying to accept all these facts and still keep the 8-year-old in me thriving. I'll keep the 8-year-old in me thriving. Please keep the 8-year-old in you thriving. I'll keep him from dying. Please keep her from dying. But we still keep on growing. We'll keep growing with our knowing. Knowing that the truth is never slowing. We'll keep on growing with our knowing. So that was 8, and of course I hope that you enjoyed and maybe even found some things that particularly stood out to you or connected in some way to you. And of course, as I said before, if that is the case, then you're more than welcome to share any of that down in the comments. So now we'll get a bit more into the story and meaning behind this poem for me. So I'd say I had like a overall pretty good childhood, and I'm like really appreciative of my parents for like giving me such a like enriching and fulfilling childhood. And I mean, as a kid, I was always the type of kid who like loved learning and creating and all kinds of stuff like that. I was like always outside playing in the dirt or doing stuff in nature, or when I was inside I would always be like drawing or creating something with just whatever I could get my hands on, and just loved to read and all kinds of things. And I would say like I was never really forced to like grow up or ever like exposed to like adult kind of stuff as a kid or anything. And I mean, I just really feel lucky in a lot of ways that I truly got to be a kid throughout my childhood, and that my parents really just like allowed that to happen for me. It wasn't really until like middle school that some of that started to change a bit, and I was kind of forced to grow up a bit more in a way and lose some of that childhood innocence and everything that I once had. So from then on, that whole kind of thing became a very difficult thing for me to deal with through the next few years, finishing middle school and up through high school. Um, Kind of wanting to hold on to that inner child of mine and hold on to that sort of like childhood innocence and everything, while being exposed to all sorts of things that were conflicting with that, and just feeling like torn apart trying to hold on to one side while being pulled to another. And that just like became a very overwhelming and traumatic experience for me in a lot of ways, and is where the like source of like inspiration or needing to write came for this poem 8. So now if we go and look kind of stanza by stanza at some specific lines and stuff and ideas throughout, we'll see a bit kind of more what I was meaning as I wrote this and what I was trying to express. So there in that first stanza, it's kind of me saying how I was once like so pure and hopeful and everything, but now I've sort of been tainted by these things that I've like seen and heard and experienced and everything. Throughout my time as a teenager at school and everything, I kind of tried my best to continue shielding myself from all these things and hold on to that childhood innocence of mine and keep that child I once was alive in me still, and not let these things I was now experiencing harm him in any way. And that ended up bringing me a lot of pain, as I was sort of like the sole defender of this inner child of mine, and felt like I was constantly sort of being attacked and beat down by these things that were happening around me and that I was experiencing and everything. And it just hurt a lot and became like too much of a burden to bear. So then, there in that second stanza, I can vividly remember some specific examples of times that I think were like particularly like transformative and traumatizing and devastating to me, that I went through in these kinds of ways, that stuck with me as like reminders of like those days and nights, as I kind of say there in the poem, that really took the light out of my world and made everything feel a lot darker and colder, and made me feel a lot heavier and caused me a lot of pain that would stick with me for like years to come. And that made me wonder if like it could ever one day go back to before and I could be relieved of all this. So then, jumping down to that third stanza, this poem originated kind of from me having a conversation with a friend of mine, sort of about childhood innocence and like our own experiences with that as we grew up. And for me, I kind of see 14, like when I was 14, as that significant age where I feel like it was like a main turning point and a significantly like tough age for me in those kinds of ways. But my friend told me that for her it was 8. She was like 8 when she feels that she really lost a significant part of her childhood innocence and kind of felt that she had to grow up and let that all go. But I feel like even now, like at the time that I wrote this when I was 18, that I was still trying to hold on to being 8 years old, and I was still stuck there in that past. And at the same time, she is moving on beyond that and pushing into the future, trying to continue growing up, and that none of this is like seeming to hold her back in any way. And she just kind of made it look so easy, like growing up and going from childhood to adulthood is just, it's just nothing. It's easy, like, but at the same time I was just struggling so much and couldn't get past those things from my past. So then, starting that fourth stanza is one of my personal favorite lines from this poem, where it says, my soul reaped the fruits of my mind. And that's kind of saying that these negative thoughts and painful memories and traumas and everything that I have now were once just planted as seeds in my mind. But then I let them continue to grow and bear their fruits, and then dig their roots deep into like the heart and soul of who I am, and just let it continue to grow deeper inside of me until it like overtakes me and consumes me and who I am. But even as this happened, I would just continue to act like I'm fine and everything's all good, despite feeling like completely horrible and hopeless, and like I'll never really be me again. So then that leads me to hating this knowing that has come from growing up. And I may try to accept it all or to fight this negativity inside my head and everything, but it just always felt like that could never really happen, or would never even really make a difference if it did. So then I think back to my friend and wonder how did she do it? How has she coped with all these things all this time, and what can I learn from her to help me? How can I find that motivation to keep going and to keep growing up when it just like feels that nothing will ever be as good as it was before? How do I keep going when everything I thought was the truth was only lies, and everything I thought was lies was really the truth? Then in that next part, it's me sort of starting to realize and understand that if I am able to make this happen and to like accept all these things and continue to grow along with them, then light might actually return to my world, and I wouldn't feel all this pain and weight anymore that I've been trying to endure the past several years. I could finally end this war in my mind once and for all. But I know that for me, it's not that easy. I like can't just let it all go, but I'm willing to try to slowly over time make it happen, so then that maybe someday, as is the title of my book, and I've mentioned that that is a common thing that's said throughout the book and why I ended up calling it what I did. So this is like another one of those key moments where I used that, and it influenced naming my book what I did. But yeah, I'm willing to continue working on this over time, so then eventually I can finally get to that place and feel good and like me again. I just want to be able to continue to grow up without losing my inner child. To me, that's like the like most valuable thing a person has. Like a child's mind and soul and everything, I think, is like truly the like purest and most valuable thing. And so if like I can continue growing up and like becoming an adult and everything while holding on to that and letting that still thrive within me, I feel like that's like the best the best thing I can do for myself. And I end the poem by promising that boy that I once was that I will always be here to take care of him and that I'll always love him and hold him close. And I ask my friend and you to do the same for yourself. We can't stop time or change the past or anything like that, but we could choose how we live, like right now in the present, and what our relationship with the past and future is like. And that's kind of the message I want to leave off at the end of the poem here, that I now accept that I can't go back and change these things that have happened to me, and I can't just stay a child forever. I accept that I'm going to have to grow up and change and learn to cope with all these things that come with that. But at the same time, not just completely neglecting the past and just forgetting it all. Still trying to hold on to that, but in like a positive way. Because for me, holding on to the past has also been a like heavy and harmful thing a lot of times. But trying to have that positive relationship with the past and hold on to it in a way that can help support me, and then that will help me continue to grow and look toward the future with hope and strength and being able to endure and overcome anything that comes my way as I continue to grow. Because through it all, I'll have that inner child of mine that was like always so creative and smart and strong and everything, there to guide me through it all. So now that's all I have for my poem 8, and of course I hope again that you enjoyed, and if you're still here at this point in the video, I would really appreciate it if you would like give the video a like and even subscribe, or check out my book, which you can find links to down in the description. And if you're interested in seeing any more of these type of videos, I have videos of all the previous poems already up on my channel and in a playlist called Maybe Someday, Maybe Someday. And I'll continue uploading more as we go further through this book, and I hope to see you in the next video next week, where we will be going through my poem called Archipelago. So yeah, thank you so much for being here and for watching, and just remember that we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces.